over to you.
Okay.
No one can see you over there, Eleanor.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to be seen. You need to be like, yeah,
There we
somewhere
go.
over there. If you want to be seen. Actually, I want this to... Okay. I'm going to play with some of the settings for a second. It's like a little bit. This looks okay to me. And then tweak the stagnation just a little bit. Oh, we got a subscriber. What was that? Oh, it's Pacific Plankton. Thank you, Pacific Plankton. Sorry, I'm just playing with the stagnation for a second. Until I get it somewhere that I like it. Still not completely happy with it, but it's better. Well, it wasn't until I took it out of focus. Okay, so we're going to start off looking at some samples from Jackson Lake, which is some material that one of Dr. Mike McLuhan's students, John Dilworth, sent to me, and he was curious about this giant Stephanodiscus, which you can see here, and also here, the big round one, which are in these samples, and then there's some other stuff in here. That's a chrysophyte, for example, and then there's this little diatom that's on the surface of this. Not totally sure what sort of fragilarioid it is. And I think our intention is just to get some pictures of these bigger things, and then anything else that looks pretty along the way that we think we like to take some pictures of. So that's one of our tasks for today, and then we also have some material from San Francisco Bay that was sent to us by Pacific Plankton about a week ago. And then we've got some additional material from Lake Turkana in here as well. So we're preparing for a class this afternoon, and some of those materials will be used in the class. So, including some here, because I think actually there's a fair number of chrysophytes on this slide. And I have with me today Eleanor, who we haven't seen for a while, back here behind me. And then to my left is actually Laura, who's a graduate student.
Where?
To see, your hands are in the picture. And Mallory was here a little bit earlier, but she went back to the lab to do some processing for us. So she may or may not be back. I don't know. It's up to her. And today we're looking at diatoms for the most part. So I mostly want to let Laura run the SEM. I just wanted to get the settings kind of to look good, and then so she's not struggling with it. And I think they look okay. And then I'm going to hand over everything to her. How do you feel about that, Laura?
I don't know. Excited.
Well, it sounds positive. All right. So, normal things that we check: beam intensity 7, speed 7. Picture looks reasonably good. And then I usually hit the auto brightness contrast. The spines are a little bit sharp. They're a little bright, but that's always going to happen because the electrons basically charge up the... Yeah, they're a little closer, but also electrons charge up off of those surfaces, and they're more easily dispersed to the detector. So anytime you have anything that's like spine shape that's sticking upward, it's usually bright in the SEM, and that's sort of a normal byproduct of the way that the pictures are collected. So you can see I've dimmed it just a little bit with the auto brightness contrast, and now it's kind of reasonable. And I think that the image otherwise looks okay. Good. It's got junk on it, but there's nothing that you can do about having junk on stuff sometimes.
Another diatom?
Yeah, there's a little Lindavia ocellata that's also for contrast. It's like a little mole, you know, like a little beauty spot on our bigger diatom. But that's actually a diatom, and that's another diatom, and they're both centric diatoms in the freshwater realm, but you can kind of get a grasp on the size differences. This one probably maxes out at about 15 microns, and this one that we're looking at is actually much less than that. It's probably like 8 microns. And then the bigger one is basically almost our whole field of view, so 90 some microns in diameter, and you can see the differences in these two different species is quite large. So I'm going to go ahead and take this picture because I feel confident about how good it's going to look. And then I can hop over to chat and see what's going on. I guess I could do that here as well. And so, yeah, good morning to Pacific Plankton. And hello, District 10 Mushrooms. And, oh, Mike McLew is here visiting with us. So, in the chat is the Jackson Lake core collector here. And, yeah, it's a huge stuff. So, pretty cool. Monster-sized diatom. I think that in the sample that we have, the material on the SEM stub was pretty sparse, but that's on our end, not on the actual like sample end. It's like when Mallory put the stub together, she just didn't put a lot of material on it. So when we look around, it's sort of barren, but I think if you actually looked at the sample on a slide, it's probably covered with these things, right? So, are you ready to start running the SEM?
Yes.
Okay. So Laura's a graduate student. She's started with me at the beginning of this semester. And one of the lakes that she may work on is Jackson Lake. We're still trying to figure out like what your ultimate project is, right?
Yeah.
So it's early. You've been in the U.S. for 3.5 months or something like that now?
Something like that.
But you've been here before, right?
Yeah.
So it looks like it's going to turn out pretty good. So I'm just going to put it back on the SEM, and I'll slide out of the way, and then you can be front and center so people can see you. And if you want to, you might want to move the microphone a little bit closer to yourself. Just careful with the divot in the table. You can move it over onto the other side if you want. That way. When you talk, people can hear you. move off to the side and hide.
No.
This is your backpack is a briefcase, Eleanor.
It is.
You're very, very official.
Very fancy.
Yeah. So formal.
I have a backpack and then I also have that, so.
So if you can just make a JL or something like that.
JL.
And then I'm pretty sure that this species that we're looking at is Stephanodiscus niagari. You know how to spell niagari?
No.
You know how to spell Stephanodiscus?
Like that?
I can't see, I don't have my glasses on.
I'm not confident about that.
Get it close.
This, 'cause
It can't be any worse than what some other people have typed occasionally for the species names.
I don't know. I think maybe no U. I don't know.
Just a US actually.
Ah!
And then the species name is niagari. Like Niagara.
Oh. Niagara.
Close enough. I'll know what it is when I look at it.
Okay.
You only need to be able to spell it when it's actually being published.
See, it's good to know what their names are.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one can go, right?
So you can close that, yeah. So the little guy that's on there is probably Lindavia ocellata, and the big guy is Stephanodiscus niagari. And the reason that I think that that's the case, could you zoom in on any of the little sections of the pie that look like where the spines are? But you
The
can
big one?
Yeah, on the big one.
No, the other way.
I'm never going to get used to how slowly you zoom. There you go. Good enough.
Okay.
So one way that we tell the species for the Stephanodiscus is the ratio of costi, which are the solid lines coming
Yeah.
from the bottom of the screen.
So
Yeah.
this one.
Yep. And then in between them are the areoli, which are fascicles. When they're lumped together, there's a couple of areoli inside each one of the costi. So referred to as fascicles for Stephanodiscus. And
So
then,
this.
yeah, the zone between the costi.
Uh-huh.
And so it's costi, fascicle, costi, or sometimes they're called interfascicles. And then what you see is basically there's 2 rows of costi between each spine.
Okay, between the spines.
Sometimes it's 3.
One,
but
two,
like-
spine.
Yeah, so that one's 3, right? There's like one that
It's
the
on the
spine is
third
on,
one.
and then there's
Uh-huh.
2, and then there's the next one the spine is on, and then there's 2.
Okay.
And then if you look at the one to the left of where you've selected, so just on the
So
left side of the screen,
This one.
there's one, just
This-
one between
This
2.
baby one?
That's actually not a spine.
That's a full toe fortula or
Almost.
something like that.
That is the external expression of the Rhizocylinia.
Ah, Remo fortula.
And the reason that I know that is because the Rhizocylinia makes a nice long spine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the actual, it should be on its own costi, which it is.
Okay.
And then if you look at the spine, behind it's a little short guy.
This one.
Yeah, that's actually the extension of the mantophotoportula.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of those. Every one of the
Yeah,
spines should be
has one.
subtended by one of those. And then the Rhizocylinia is off on its own.
This one.
So so if we wanted to, for example, figure out what species this was, and we weren't sure if it was niagari or something else, one of the things that we would look at is the relationship between where the Rhizocylinia is and where the mantophotoportula and the spines are, and then the number of costi between each one of the spines. So this is sort of like an issue where you have only a few features on the diatom, to identify. So it's like I just explained every piece that you could possibly look at on the outside of the Stephanodiscus valve, right? There's nothing else on it. It's basically just got costi, the areoli, spines, and then the 2 different types of extensions from the holes that are coming through the inside. And so it becomes very critical to look at the relationships between
The
those
small
parts,
details.
right? Because it's the only details we have.
But you can do that in light microscopy.
Most of it you can.
You can see all these spines and
Yeah,
Things like that?
because these Stephanodiscus are very large.
Okay.
The
yeah.
spine on this diatom is bigger than the other diatom,
Yeah.
right?
Makes
so
sense.
so you could actually see. You might not be able to tell the ramiportulus extension, but
Mhm.
you could probably see it in the light microscope because the other spines are so big relative to it. You know, they're really huge, and they
Yeah.
also, at the tops of them, they have those little. They're like fanned out.
These
Yeah,
ones?
they're like weirdly fanned out at the top, and the other ones don't do any of that.
Okay.
So all of the ones that you have on our field of view, and also when you zoom out and look at them, they're all like slightly hooked or curled or whatever that shape is that we can't quite see because it's, to get this in focus, that's out of focus, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the top of the ramiportula tube, it doesn't have that at all. What's going on in chat, Eleanor?
Oh, pull it up.
I thought that's what you were doing here.
I was making a PowerPoint as well.
You're making a PowerPoint?
Multitasking.
Yeah, I got a project next week.
You're doing your homework?
A little bit.
Clearly. Here, I thought you were managing
Dell
the
said,
chat.
"What's going on?" I am making a PowerPoint right now, and also doing the stream.
That is what I like to think of as being efficient. You're here, you're hanging out with people, you're doing your homework, and you're reading the stream.
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent. So
Oh,
this
they
is-
want Twitch emotes in that PowerPoint. I'll work on it.
I don't know if you can copy and paste the emotes into your PowerPoint
I'm
very
not
easily,
sure.
but
And then
what is your PowerPoint about?
the late Devonian extinction.
The late Devonian extinction, is this for your historical geology class?
Yes.
How did I guess?
And on the last exam, I only missed 1 point.
Out of
I only got 1 point off. For that.
out of 100 points?
Yes.
You got a 99 out of 100?
Yes, I did. It's a good day. Good day.
We're only allowed to discuss your grade if you first tell us what your grade is. So, just as for clarification.
Got it.
Good enough.
Okay. Ah.
Let's see. I suppose I could launch the chat so I could read it. Huh. So try not to have to hear myself. Very good. Oh, the vocals sound pretty good in the room, I guess, is one thing. So you can see the edge of all of those little spines
These
have the
ones.
little caps on them, right?
Mhm.
You can see that now.
Look like nails.
Like fingernails?
No, like
Like nails.
Like
Oh, like a
Yes.
hammer and a nail. Yeah. Like somebody did a bad job of hammering them in
Yeah.
because some of them are crooked. Okay. So you can just find whatever you'd like to look at. You don't need to cater to anything that I want. For the large stuffs, we probably do need 1 or 2 internal views as well.
For these ones?
Yeah, for that same species.
Okay.
But anything else you want to look at, you feel free to run things, and then maybe by 2 o'clock or something, we'll switch over to looking at the San Francisco Bay stuff.
Okay.
So I'm sort of curious to see what is in there. Do you know this guy, Tom?
Surirella?
Yeah, it's Sorrel.
Okay.
Why did you look like you didn't know?
I just wasn't sure about the pronunciation
Oh,
of
okay.
how to say it in English.
Then Dell wants to know if they're empty ring fragments or impressions.
Oh, the little empty circles that you see are actually, they're girdle bands for those big diatoms. The girdle bands sometimes get separated from the valve, and then you just get the little girdle band sitting by itself. So, the diatom that we're looking, Wuhan's here.
I don't know, is that better? I don't know what I'm doing.
You know how I focus. I zoom in really close.
Okay.
And then I get the focus good, and then I zoom out to the level that you're at. So, just as a habit,
Get really close.
get close, focus, then zoom out. Yeah. Figure out what you want in focus, and then zoom out from there.
No.
Yeah, so Mike McLew says he thought he saw a large Cerarella in the screen wash sample from Jackson yesterday. And I think we've seen some large Cerarellas in these samples, but this one's actually a very small Cerarella.
Uh-huh.
I mean, relative to what I'm used to seeing Cerarella sizes.
Is that good?
Yeah,
So now I
double click
click back.
and then zoom out. This is the one time you don't want to make the mistake on which wheel it is you focus. Focus versus magnification.
No.
So this one's only maybe 25 microns across, which is pretty small for a Cerarella, to be honest. They're usually like 100. So cautious.
No, too far.
You can also click and hold the middle mouse button and drag it. It's got to be the middle mouse button, though.
Okay, this one.
Yeah, it will actually, yeah, when you let go, it'll just nudge it.
A little bit more.
Yeah. Maybe even a little further.
Yeah. There.
Let's see. Mike says the Cerarella he had was larger than 125 microns.
No,
so-
this one's like
Oh, larger than 63.
20.
Well, we can tell exactly how big it is if you
Oh.
look at the bottom. There's a field of view.
34.1.
Yeah, so if you actually zoomed in so that the diatom was completely in the field of view, we would know. But I'm guessing it's 30. We should make it a contest one of these times. You know? Guess the size of the diatom. And then we'll do like the Price is Right. And if you go over, you lose.
What's the price?
Oh, sorry. I don't know what the prize would be. You win the diatom that you guessed the size for.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's your diatom if you get the size right. Look at the.
Oh, no.
Oh, you took a Mallory photo.
No, I didn't
Yeah,
mean
just
that.
tell it not to save it. Just hit the
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look
okay.
how close the field of view is to the size of the diatom, and that's a 30. Just saying. And hello to Rams Reed. And did somebody give Dell a shout out? You may give Dell his own. I gave him his own thing. Here it is. In case somebody's wondering. And for some reason doesn't know who Dell is by this point. So this is Laura's first time on Twitch, right?
Yes.
And we haven't seen Eleanor in so long, people might
Yeah.
not recognize you anymore.
I've
What have you been up to?
Well, I can't do the Twitch this semester because I have class till 12:50 and then a class at 2. So I've got like a very short,
You're just here for a little window.
yeah.
Plus, during that time, you have to work on PowerPoints and things.
It's a heavy semester.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes. Her name is Laura. Do you care if I give them your last name?
I don't know. Do you know how to spell it?
Sometimes. I'll just call you Laura. I don't know how public you want to be as a figure. So for now, you're just Laura.
Okay.
you want to tell them where you're from?
Colombia.
Okay.
It's getting there.
Yeah, in 1 minute. So a lot of times what I do, if this is running, is I jump over so I can read the actual chat.
Okay.
So, and yeah, Luan is a regular, they're a diatomist,
Okay.
and they are also a Spanish-speaking person. So,
Hi.
is Laura familiar with PogChamp? She is not. And if you want to type as me, you can type in there, or you can just say things into there.
Okay.
They can hear you, so it's no reason to type. Your friend's wife is from Colombia. Oh, okay. And somebody give a shout out to OpenSet, or I guess I can. I've got my thing here. Your Diatom is almost done.
Almost
baking.
ready.
How are you doing, OpenSet? Haven't seen you for a while. I heard you had a stream the other night, but it must have been late because I was already asleep.
Ah.
I'm gonna have the hardest time with Cirrella because it's spelled with R-I-R in the middle of the word, and that's just not a combination of letters in English that's easy to say. I don't know if it's easy for you to say in Spanish, but
It's just Surirela. It doesn't. It's easier when you can roll your R's.
yeah. Well, it's also easier in English if you just kind of mumble it, like Cirrella.
Okay.
So you're not saying Cirrella.
Just cutting the word a little short.
Yeah. I always found it the hardest word to spell when I first started, and I don't know why, because it's not particularly long for a word. It's just, it seems like it should be spelled differently. So that's a,
This long one?
yeah, do you know what it is?
I don't want to say. Yeah, I
What's
don't
the
know.
worst that could happen?
I'm not sure.
Oh, it's
It looks like a.
Stereonella.
Okay.
Is that what you were going to say?
No.
Okay. You're supposed to say yes. I'm pretty sure it's a Stereonella. If you zoom out, because we're only seeing half of it.
Yeah, the
If
other
it's a
half.
Stereonella, the other side will have
It's really huge.
a bigger head.
More.
Yeah, we need to see the other end.
Oh,
It's broken.
that's bad luck.
Well,
We can.
I can just
maybe.
go ahead and pretend that it's a Stereonella, and nobody will be able to tell me it isn't,
Because we're missing the other part.
that's right. We're missing the part that makes it clear that's what it is. And if we were on the outside of it, Stereonella has little spines, so I could probably tell for sure that it wasn't a little fragillaria of some type, but I'm pretty sure it's a Stereonella. Or if we find another one, that's another way that we can resolve that. That's a...
This one?
Well, the one that's in the middle, you know what that is, right?
Alakosira.
Everybody knows Alakosira. It's the magic word.
They gave me a lot of headaches in my undergrad.
So do you want to tell people a little bit about your undergrad work? You're working on a paper right now, right?
Yes, hopefully I can get all the corrections done as soon as I can. I'm
It's
trying
something that's
to.
already accepted.
Yes.
And what's it about?
It's about. It's a diatom reconstruction for 2 floodplain lakes for the Magdalena River, which is one of the main lakes in Colombia. It's the longest one and one of the most flow. How do you call
Discharge.
discharge, with the greatest discharge in the country. So it's a very dynamic ecosystem. The floodplain lakes are very connected to the main lake, so The diatom composition is a little bit of a mess. I didn't know that when I started. So yeah, we have an isolated lake and a more connected lake, and that gave us the chance to look at how much this connectivity affects the stability of the ecosystems. So we have a very sensitive lake to droughts caused by ENSO, where it almost completely dries out. And then the other one, which is a really small lake, it doesn't care about the weather or anything. It's a very stable, I don't know if that's the correct word, but it's a very stable ecosystem. And we can see the species turnover very clearly for different lake stages, which doesn't happen for the other lake. So this river influence, we came to the conclusion that it just keeps the diatom species mixed all the time.
So this is more convincing to me that
I didn't mean to do that.
more
Okay.
convincing to me that we're looking at a Sterionella even than before.
I
'Cause the heads
forgot
are
how to do the thing. Oh, it's double click.
Yeah, because
No.
this is the large end. We saw the small end.
The small end. Maybe
Yeah.
it's the same.
It could be the same
diatom.
diatom, but it seems unlikely that it's the same actual diatom with its head here and its rest of its body over there.
Maybe.
It could be. Probability is very low for that to actually be the case. But that is definitely an Sterionella.
No.
Valve end.
I think that's all I can get.
Yeah.
This one.
So I think the sample still has maybe a little bit of clay.
This.
Yeah, the particles that are in there, and then also around on the diatom itself is some either light dissolution or maybe some clay stuck to the outside of it
Okay.
in places. And a little bit on the inside, in the middle right there, yeah.
In here?
Yeah. Because you should be able to see the striae come into the
Yeah,
valve
not
face.
really.
So, are you going to take a picture?
No.
Okay. I'm just curious. I wasn't asking you to. I just wanted to know.
Just wanted to see what it looked like.
So I think this comment was made by Luhan in response to your statement about not knowing much about the taxonomy. Like she said, nobody knows when we started. Like usually, when you start every project, it's like starting over, right?
Yes.
It's one of the things that's kind of fun about diatoms is that there's so many of them, and they're so different from each other, and each lake has its own flora that
Each time it's like a new.
each time it's like starting over. It's like a new project. Although you might run into some of the same old friends, right? It's possible. Although probably not if your next project is in the US and your last project was in Colombia.
Yeah, I think it's all going to be new.
So probably most of your species are going to be new ones. That one has a bunch of clay in the middle.
Do you think I can get like some detail, or there's too much clay?
I think it's too much clay to
Ah.
actually see the detail.
It looked pretty.
Pacific Plankton's back.
Where'd she go?
I don't know.
Oh, is she baking? Sometimes she bakes through my shows, which I feel like is a great idea.
It is.
But I also feel like it would be a better idea if the food then came here when she was done with some of it, you know? She sends me a lot of stuff, but I haven't got any baked goods
Any
from
food?
her yet.
Her mom called.
Oh, okay.
Open said it's making chicken right now.
Man, everybody's gonna make me hungry. When Laura went to lunch earlier, we were on the SEM a little bit this morning. When Laura went to lunch, I had a faculty meeting,
Oh.
and so I didn't eat any lunch today. As usual, it's Wednesday. I don't get to eat.
Ooh. It's next. Wow.
I get dinner at 4:30.
Dinner.
Yep.
Who eats dinner at 4:30?
That's really
'Cause I
early.
didn't get lunch yet.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's from the dining hall. 'Cause
It's because you have class at
yeah.
over the time where you would normally,
Yeah.
and you were working on your PowerPoint. You worked through lunch instead.
Oh yeah. It's okay though. Addie!
Hello,
Hi.
Addie. We have a whole collection of people now. It's great. Did you get those extra 5 slides made?
Not yet. Not yet.
Just waiting for them to dry, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This one's Starosira or something like that?
It's Starosira or something like that. That's about as good as I can do at the moment.
And then Q23 says he sees a flask in there.
Well, drink up, I guess. One of the cool things about diatoms is that they have a lot of different shapes, and people can then associate those shapes. See, I think that one's also still covered with a lot of clay. I think because
Too much clay?
you can't see any of the detail on the surface.
No.
So we might want to, for samples that are like this, that are covered with a bunch of clay, we might want to put them in like an ultrasonic water bath, shake them really strong. You're not supposed to shake a baby, but you know, baby diatoms. Do you want to get the clay off?
I've done that.
You shake babies?
No. The other thing.
How you doing, Addie?
Oh, not too bad. I was talking to my mom. There's lots of family drama going on. That's
Oh, no.
why I'm late.
Ooh.
But otherwise, I'm good.
Look at that nice Alicacira, though.
This one? What's this huge one? The same one?
Ulnaria. I didn't know if I was supposed to answer that question. Sometimes I'm not allowed.
sure. It's just really big.
It's ulnaria. It's sometimes they were called Fragillaria, and sometimes they were called Sinedra, and then they got moved into their own group, which is ulnaria. And the way that you can tell it's ulnaria is, one, it's huge. So Fragillaria that get really, really big are usually ulnaria. But also, if we looked carefully at the striae for it, they are across from each other, always, directly,
Okay.
like a ladder with a piece missing in the middle. Whereas all the other little Fragillaria are like offset, mostly. Just had to appear on camera to use my hands like this. So it wasn't just a disembodied hands going like this from the other side of the screen.
Ah.
You can see them just at the very bottom. You can
These
see
ones.
the striae are kind of
Mhm.
across from each other, right?
So here and then here. This one and this one.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
They're also much more robust. Like the skeletons are very thick. So
So are these plankton or from?
usually they're benthic.
Okay.
They usually have a foot pole or apical
So they live.
pore field, and yeah, they live like attached on one end, sticking up in the air, and they create what are called Rosette colonies. like the little rose, basically,
Okay.
like not ROWS, but ROSE, like the flower.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they live attached to rocks and stuff like that. Sometimes they can occur in the plankton, but usually it's because they've been picked up and carried. One time when we were hiking on my sabbatical in Arizona, we stopped at a waterfall and I collected waterfall samples. I definitely wasn't in a park, a state park, but I collected some waterfall samples and it was filled with these. So the flowing water basically was making them happy, and they just basically colonized.
So they're good with turbulence and things
Well,
like
because they're
that?
attached,
They don't.
they don't care. But I think I wasn't right where the water was dripping either.
Okay.
so.
Mallory's on here. I think that's her, isn't she? The Aishu Emigor? Maybe. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, she's sorting right now.
Luan says, when you're hungry and you start seeing food shapes in the SEM. That's, I'm pretty much always hungry when I'm on the SEM. I don't think there's ever been a stream where I was here and I was like, I'm just full, I had lunch. Because it's always like, I got SEM time and I get excited about it and then I forget to eat breakfast and then I come in early and I try to get stuff ready and then it's like a scramble to get the stream together, and then like sometime around 3 o'clock I start feeling like I'm going to pass out, and then I was like, okay, time to raid
Time to
somebody.
eat.
Yeah. Stream's over before I fall unconscious. What are you giggling about? Mike says his sense is that these samples would be clay-rich. So,
I don't know. Mallory's mad I shut her up. I guess she was supposed to be, like, ghosting.
oh, okay.
She's fine.
So, how long have you been looking at diatoms, Laura?
Like, when did I start?
When did
with-
you start?
I think it was... Okay, so I graduated from biology 2 years ago, so maybe 3 years ago.
So you were like 1 year looking at diatoms?
More. So maybe further, because I had 2 undergrad thesis projects, one for biology, one for microbiology, and each one was 1 core.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
One of the 2 courses that are in
Yeah.
your paper. Okay.
and
You should type that so we
and when did I graduate from biology? 2019.
And then you have a separate undergraduate
For
program
microbiology, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool. We don't have that as an option here. I don't think I've seen any schools that have like a undergraduate degree in microbiology.
Well, yeah, it was too like person-centered, like immunology, parasitology, and things like that.
I gotta go to class.
Okay.
No.
Guys.
Well, Addie can
Bye.
scoot in then. She can show up on the camera if she wants.
You think I can get a zoom on the estuary for this one?
I don't think it's going to look very good because it's got clay on the inside still.
Ah.
That's why all the details are missing. Can you find this the inside of a giant Stephanodiscus?
This,
That's a girdle band.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What am I looking for? Like,
Well, you can zoom out and then look for the big round ones.
but how do I know if it's inside out or not?
Get close to it. Look for spines.
And that's,
The spines would be down if it's the inside. The spines would be out.
Okay, so
It would
no
be down.
spines.
No spines, yeah.
okay. Maybe this,
Yeah.
I don't know, this one.
Yeah, all those would be fine. You can tell also because they have the mantle is pointed towards us, so they have a bright white ring around them.
Mm-hmm. So maybe this one?
Yeah, it should work. I guess we'll
It
find out
has
when
some
you zoom in.
diatoms on it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter?
Well, it doesn't matter to me.
More?
Well, you probably want to put it in the center. That one might be easier to put to get to the center.
So like,
Just
I
in the
don't know.
middle, yeah. So you have something like this in your samples, don't you? Like a big, I'm talking to you, Addie.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yes.
You have some sort of
Mhm.
big Stephanodiscus niagara-like thing in your samples, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's the little bright spots that you see
one?
halfway between the middle and the outside of the valve.
these ones?
No.
These
The-
ones?
Yes, those ones. Those
Okay.
are valve face photoportula. And if we zoom in on them, they're going to either have 2 or 3 satellite pores. So they'll be
Okay.
rectangular shaped or they'll be sort of oval shaped.
I missed them.
Yeah, you have to, now you'll have to move. There's
There.
one. That one actually looks like it's maybe deformed, but the one
But
that's
this one, right?
Yeah, that one or the one at the top
Or
of the
this
screen
one?
have 3. Yeah. So the little bumps that you see all over the screen are
No.
the areolae. So when we were looking on the outside of this diatom, it was like the little holes.
So now it's
And on the inside, they have what's called a domed cribra. So they look like little, I don't know,
domes.
moles or little tiny, I don't know what, like, grips.
I don't know.
I think we have an oven mitt that kind of has those little structures on them at home. That's silicone.
That's good? I don't know. I don't see any difference.
Well, you know how I feel about focus. The trick is to zoom in
Okay.
and then get it as good as you like, and then zoom back out. So. It was very close.
More? Oh no.
There you go. So you see the little dark line that's at the base of, no, here, let me use the mouse for a split second, right here.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That's the actual opening. There's one over here on this side, and there's another on this side as well. So one thing that you could focus if you really wanted to get it sharp would be that line, to make sure that it's got really strong contrast between it and the things that are adjacent to it. So, but
I don't know.
well, it was
This
better
only
before.
looks worse.
Now it looks good.
Now it's better,
Yeah.
but
So,
I don't know.
I would say where you have it is
Uh,
fine, and then when you zoom out, it won't matter.
Okay.
You know, you're tweaking something that as long as you don't change it when you zoom out, you'll never notice the difference between where you're at it and where it is. So. Are you taking a picture of this close?
Well, I want to see what it looks like,
Okay.
but it might take a while. I
You
don't know.
could just do this, and then it will
Oh.
draw only what's inside of there. I think it looks good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we want a picture of the.
Yeah,
Whole
I
thing?
would like a picture so we can see where the photoportula are.
I need to change these.
Yeah.
I'm going the other
You're
way.
getting closer and closer. It's funny, when I want you to zoom in, you're not interested in zooming in. And when I want you to zoom out, you usually want to zoom in.
I think these are one of my favorites to look at.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I
One
don't
of
really
my-
like centric ones. They are
Yeah.
all the same.
You like the big steps?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My colleague, Tricia Spanbauer, who's at the University of Toledo, studies these, and this group in particular, the Niagara group. And so I'm trying to get pictures that we can send to Tricia, so she can tell us
Cool.
how it fits in with the rest of the Niagara,
Yeah.
in order to help answer John's questions about it. So you just need to slow it down, and the beam intensity should probably be 7 instead of 8.
Can I change it now?
Yeah, anytime. Just hit the enter. And then you should be able to take a picture. So the speed's set right.
Do I put this one or?
Yeah, you might want to change the contrast a little. Oh, Luan wants to know what the little ball is.
So, the chrysophyte stoma.
Yep, it's a chrysophyte stomatocyst. Yeah. And you can tell that because?
Its shape and the pore,
Yeah.
and that's all I have. The shape and the pore.
That's all it has as well, so you're in luck. Yeah, the little ball's a chrysophyte, and the diatom that's stuck on the surface is Starcyra, probably?
Starcyra.
Yeah, probably. So I normally, whenever I take the picture, I do that so that they can see the whole thing, and that's not important.
These ones are the mantle portula. Yes?
Yes. You might want to use the mouse cursor though, because they can't see your finger.
These ones.
And then, if you look very closely around the outside edge,
So
somewhere
here?
there should be a rhemoportula. And it looks like a pair of lips or a little mouth hiding somewhere.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it here.
And there may be more than one for some of these, so that's another characteristic. That's why I think we might want a couple of pictures of the insides of
Mm-hmm.
the diatom. So Ruhan wants to know if they're going to be counting the chrysophytes as well as the diatoms. And actually, this isn't Laura's project yet. So she may or may not be analyzing these samples, but if she does, I would recommend that
We
she
could
at
do
least
it.
keep track of
Yeah.
the number of chrysophytes for sure. I do that when I normally count. The chrysophytes are like a separate cell. I just keep track of like sponge, chrysophyte, sometimes pollen. I'll just like keep track of them for no good reason because it never shows up in my publications. But
I don't get these ones in the Colombia samples.
you don't have any chrysophytes?
No.
Or you just don't have the simple kind?
No, I have sponges and phytoliths, but not chrysophytes.
Yeah. Well, and I keep track of phytoliths as well, and sometimes other things like just microparticles that are in the sample. So in case somebody is interested in looking at phytoliths or chrysophytes,
It's
I
there.
can go back and say, well, they're at least here in the sample. So
This one's another diatom, right?
yes, that's another diatom. Some sort of fragile area. You can see that it's actually two valves that are face to face. Right here you can see the separation between them. And then that's a girdle band, and that's another little diatom. That's probably that ocelata.
So this one is
You should just be able to click that Stephanodiscus at the top and put a 3 in instead of 2.
uh,
Save yourself all the typing.
3. Okay. So we didn't get the lips, right?
I can't see it.
Maybe they're somewhere
They might be there.
hidden in the
I don't see them.
junk.
They would normally be a little bit, so like, for example, if we went here, that could be it. They're usually a
Okay.
little bit, so this is the row of the Mantophotoportula.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember from the outside, they were a little bit farther towards the spines, closer
Yeah.
towards the spines. So I'd expect them to be somewhere in between, so they would be sort of up in here somewhere a little bit. But I don't see them, so they're probably just buried under the junk.
Yeah.
So we would probably want to try to find another.
A cleaner one?
Yeah, or just another one, you know.
Okay, let's see.
Even if they're all covered with junk, if the rim of Portugal is there, then we could at least have that.
So this one might work?
Yeah,
It's
give it a
like
shot.
the same.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how clean it is, but
There's only one way to find out. There's at least a bunch of them.
no, this one.
So currently, both Addison and Laura are in a microfossils class that my postdoc, Dr. Yost, is teaching. And our topic for last week was diatoms. So both Laura and Annie were bored because they hardly learned anything new, or if they learned anything new. And then the topic this week is actually chrysophytes. So when we're done doing the stream, one of the things that we're going to do is, in the lab today, is look at some chrysophytes in the SEM. And there's already some. We've already found one in here, but I have some other samples that are in there that that have chrysophytes that we're interested in looking through.
I think it has too much things
Probably.
in it.
Maybe in the very top right corner.
This one?
Yeah. Or is that the outside?
I think so. No?
No, it's the inside. No, she's got a bunch of clay on it.
Oops.
So it's
I
not gonna
lost
work.
it. Okay.
Too much clay.
Okay.
Well, I also want to spend some time looking at the San Francisco Bay stuff.
So,
So
what's the
why don't we
ratio?
jump over and look at those? And they're just in steps 1, 2, and 3. So can we start with 1 and just sort of see what we get?
Oh.
Lots of monstrous diatoms
Wow.
as usual. So you probably need to focus it just a little bit and maybe play with the contrast and the brightness just to get, yeah, that's a good one to zoom in on.
It has a lot of patterns, so.
This is the diatom that you've selected is in the genus Isthmia,
Okay.
and the striae that are on there, the areolae that are on there are like sort of 2 microns in diameter, so they have really big pores. Yeah, and you could do way better for the focus than it's going to look really good when you focus.
Okay, so more?
Yeah, you can zoom in more.
Ah! That's not the one. Oops. Okay, I'll fix it.
Now you need to focus. But it's going to really look sharp, I think, when you do.
Which way? Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you could actually probably zoom in a lot closer and look right inside those pores. We started off sometimes, we start off our screen looking at these. Yeah.
Wow.
They're big enough that you can just
Wow.
see like everything inside there, right? And then probably if you
Slow
put
it?
the
Or this one?
brightness and contrast, yeah,
This one?
yeah, we'll be able to see it even a little bit better. There, perfect. This is one of the nice parts about looking at marine diatoms is they're so big, and it's easy to see all the structures sometimes. These samples have just been rinsed. They haven't been processed at all, so the organic coatings might still be on some of the things. And normally we would boil them in nitric acid to get rid of all the organic matter for these because they're coming fresh out of the Pacific Ocean straight to us. And that's what Mallory's doing right now. So if she's still listening, she's in the other room babysitting the sample as it's being boiled in nitric acid. And probably doing homework and making PowerPoints at the same time or whatever it is she wants to do.
Are they bigger because they need greater surface area or something like that, or?
You mean why are marine diatoms bigger?
Yeah.
I think because wave energy is higher, and so the planktic diatoms can afford to be bigger because they're just suspended a little bit more easily by the upwelling. So, you know, I think that's part of it. This diatom is actually a benthic diatom.
Oh.
So, and we're only looking at a half, it's only one valve, not the whole frustule. Now we're just looking at a couple of the areoli pores, but which is kind of crazy. So if we were to measure this distance, that's basically 2 microns. And sometimes we find diatoms that are 2 microns big, or 2 microns wide, and they would fit through those holes if they were actually open, right? So these things are the monsters. There's some other really giant-sized diatoms that we often find in samples that Pacific Plankton sends to me. And let's see, so I don't forget. Oh, John, this is Addie on the far side, and that's Laura. So Jans was a regular viewer for a long time. He just hasn't been around for a bit. So this is Laura's first time on stream, and this is Addie's 3rd time or 4th time on stream. Some relatively small number.
Okay.
And we did do a couple of episodes where we
is something.
Isthmia, but yeah, just put San Francisco for that, and then the front part should be SF.
SF?
Yeah,
No.
you have JL. You try to trick me, but it's not working.
And then
Isthmia is ISTHMIA. Just like it sounds. Through my math.
It sounds different for me. Okay.
It's a pretty diatom.
Yes.
Very good. Now we're nice and tightly in focus, and we got our contrast set up good, so we can kind of look around. But yeah, you're just looking at 1/2 of it, and then
There should be.
these shiny diatoms that are just to the top and right of your isthmia are Thalassocyra.
These ones?
Yep, both of those are Thalassocyra, and also directly below your diatom is another Thalassocyra. There's a lot of them. Almost everything right there in your field of view is a Thalassocyra. There's also a Diatom,
Which
is
one?
this triangular shaped thing. It's right. Sorry, here. Let me grab this. This is Diatom here.
Oh, okay.
That's one valve. That's the other, and the girdle band is between them. There's another Diatom here with another. They have like a long sort of spine that goes all the way through the valve face. That's actually the Rhizocylinia.
Let's just zoom on that one.
And then there's a giant diatom.
That one?
Yeah, and I think that's Casanodiscus Walesii or Willesii or however you want to say it. Monster-sized diatom. So, it was
So these
probably-
are broken or they look like that?
They have like eyelashes on the edge of the valve face.
So this
That
spine is this,
Oh, the spine doesn't go all the way through the valve. It
It's
just goes
just
through the
this.
valve face.
and this is the girdle,
The girdle.
that you said?
Yep, that's the girdle.
And this is one valve and this
Yep.
is the other valve?
Yep.
And they're joined by,
girdle bands.
but it's dissolved or I don't know.
Oh, the
I'm having a hard time. like-
Yeah, it's because the girdle bands have collapsed. They're
Oh,
very
okay.
lightly silicified
Mhm.
on the girdle bands, and the
Okay.
valve faces are actually really well silicified.
Okay.
So when we find them after we process them, usually the girdle bands are gone.
So you find just like the little head?
Yep. And sometimes it's pointed straight up at us, so if you look around, we might be able to find
Okay.
some. These samples have a lot of them in them, so it's not this one that's kind of half buried isn't precious in any way. But that monster diatom that's over there to the
This one?
yeah, that's a whole valve of the Cosinodiscus Walesii or Willesii, and it's yeah, for a sense of scale, the field of view right now is like 300 microns across, so a third of a millimeter, and that's a single-celled organism, which is kind of cool. We see these sometimes in Pacific plankton's live material, and it's on its girdle, so we can't actually see the valve face. Yeah,
But it's centric or
it's
what other-
yeah, it's a circular diatom. So in valve view, we might be able to find one that's laying flat if you
Okay.
zoom out and roll around on the screen a little. But imagine that thing is just enormous, right? It's
Yes.
300 microns across, and a typical example of, you know, the marine phytoplankton's always got to compensate for something, you know. It's
What's
gotta make
this?
Giant. Can you zoom in on it? I think it's actually a piece of vegetation. There's some stuff that's that Pacific sometimes finds that she refers to as sea lettuce.
So this might be it?
Yeah, I think it's a plant material of some type because we didn't digest any of the samples, so
Mhm.
the organic stuff is still here. But I bet
Looks
there's a bunch
nice.
of diatoms stuck on it.
You think we could see them?
I'm positive we could see them.
I'm going, no, the other way. Okay.
I think that one that's
This
just to
one?
the- yeah, that's a
Mhm.
diatom for sure. I don't know if that actually is that's just like attached to it or it landed on it though.
If it's centric, we know we just landed, right? Because
Probably. Yeah.
they're not.
Yeah, I think it's a centric diatom.
Okay, let's look for another one that might live there.
There's also, so these samples when they were collected and submitted to me had living barnacles and copepods and shrimp and other things.
Okay.
So we could also be looking at a piece of something.
Like an antenna or something?
Some part of an organism. It's hard to tell from, without the whole view of whatever it is.
It looks nice, I don't know.
It looks very sort of fibrous to me, so I thought maybe it's just a piece of plant. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
It's
that's
really
just a
big.
piece of a plant. But if we zoom out, we might be able to see some neofaunal components. We sometimes see like a whole copepod, like
I think that's it.
hanging out in the field of view.
Oh,
You did find some Petoceras.
yes.
And we were looking around at one of these samples earlier, and we saw a whole bunch of bacteriastrum, right?
Yes, those were interesting.
So I'm hoping we find a couple of those as well. So there's another Diatom. And then
This one.
yeah, there's actually a bunch of them. There's one right in the middle of the screen, and then two at the top on the left.
This one and this
then
one.
That's a valve. Yep, just a face. And then this thing that's over here that looks like a pen.
This one.
Yeah. So it's Rhizocylinia, I think.
Oh.
And it's similar. It just has the valve ends and then a bunch of girdle bands between them. And typically, when we digest the samples, the valve faces are all that are left. So the girdle bands basically disappeared, which is one of the reasons why we sometimes just look at unprocessed material, because the girdle bands disappear and then you lose all the sort of colonial aspect of it.
Why do they disappear? They're
Very
not
lightly
made out of
silicified.
silica, or
They're made out of
okay,
silica,
lightly
just very lightly
silicified.
silicified, yeah. Oh, John's asked me how my lecture is going for Dr. Mo, which is my new VTube character. And I'm still working on it, Jans. It's a topic I'm very familiar with that I'm going to talk about in my lecture for YouTube, which is extremophiles. So.
Like,
We taking a picture?
yes.
So we can hop over and see what they're saying in chat here if you want. I don't have it's not for real lectures. They're just for V2. It's just for the Spirit University thing that I've been doing. So they're not my actual lectures. But I teach a class on extreme aquatic environments, so I've had a lot of experience talking about extremophiles in that class. I'm trying to keep them less lecture-y and a little bit more interesting than I would for a normal lecture, where I might have more, I don't know, terminology, or I guess I'll still be doing some of the terminology, but a little bit more interesting topic, maybe. So I have this sort of a long spine, and then these eyelash sort of spines around the outside edges. So you're going to make us some more samples for the SEM?
I would like to.
Yeah. Anything in particular that you want to try to image? Are we still looking for fragile areoids?
Fragile areoids, and I want to look more specifically at punctus striata, because I know I have that, but I can't recognize it on a light microscope.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how we're going to address that.
yeah.
We need to come up with some sort of a strategy for sorting it out.
Yeah. That's one of my things I need to look at. And then I have a lot of, not a lot, but I've noticed I have some monoraphids, and I'm only seeing the raphulus valve, and so I have no idea what it is. None. So next time I'll try to pay closer attention to that.
Bring
as
some to
well.
the lab meeting as pictures, and then
Yeah.
we can look at them like we do for Sukanya stuff.
Yeah. And just always everything in girdle view. Lots of girdle view stuff that I have no idea what it is.
You're not a fan of the girdle view?
Nope.
Huh.
It's not my favorite.
What's the name of this one?
Diatom, Dityllum.
The
I-T-Y.
D-I-T
Yeah,
Y.
Dityllum.
L-U-M.
Diatom.
Ah,
Pacific Plankton's giving us spelling in the channel in case you're... left? That really big circle?
This one?
Yeah.
That's the other one we have
Yeah, it's
seen?
actually sitting on its
uh-huh.
side. It's not quite laying flat. But you can see the valve face now. It's so huge. Zoom in really closely and let's look at, see if we can see the pores or whether they're covered. You know I want to get closer than that, right?
Yes.
Being very timid with the magnification.
I don't know.
That looks good to me. I still feel like you could get a lot closer though. I don't know that it's going to get any better.
Yeah.
I think that's probably good. You can zoom out now. Sorry, I'm going to be bossy, but... I think you get a good sense of how enormous it is. It's cool.
It is huge.
It is. Let's get a picture.
Ah. Mm. I want to get all of it, but there?
Sure. You're in charge around here right now, so
I don't know if it's.
whatever you think is good is good.
I feel like I can. I'm not sure if I'm missing something down here.
So speed and then the photo, and if you want brightness and contrast, but I think it's okay.
Looks nice.
Yeah, that's a nice picture. Somebody did a great job with that one. That's how you have to present it. As if you had nothing to do with it. That's a big boy. You see there's like a line right here?
Yes.
I think that's because we're actually seeing through the diatom.
Okay.
I think we're seeing stuff that's inside of it. Or on the other side of it. It's pretty interesting. So because we use the accelerating voltage at 30 kV, we can actually see sometimes through the material.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting some of the signal coming all the way through and coming back out.
That would be this white spot as well?
Yeah, I think that's like a flake of something that's sitting on the inside of the valve.
Okay.
Yeah, there's something on the inside. As big as they are, it's still fairly lacy, and so like the beam is going through those holes and hitting stuff coming back out on the other side. So it's the one difference probably between using electrons to see and using light to see is some of the electrons are getting deep enough into the material or passing all the way through it to hit things behind it and then be
With light,
captured.
it just
Yeah, it's just going to
stops.
bounce off the surface typically. But if you had really bright light, I don't know if you ever did this with a flashlight where you like hold it up to your hand. You know, you can see the light through your hand, and that's actually a pretty big chunk of
Neat.
stuff between there. And you can sometimes see your bones or whatever that way too, right? You get really bright lights. So, but that's transmitted light rather than reflected
What's the
light.
name of this one?
It's a cosinodiscus, but
Like that?
C-O-S-C-I-N, wait,
C-O-S?
yeah, C-I-N-O.
C-I-N-O?
Yeah, and then discus.
This. Oh my god, okay. Okay.
You can just put a 1 after it.
Cosinodiscus.
That's fun. It'll be okay. I can tell what it is from the pictures, so. You could just put Diatom 1, Diatom 2. It'll be fine. I don't think I've ever taken any pictures of that one for Pacific, so that would be nice. Let's find something cool. Find us a cool one. And I make all
What
of
are
it.
these ones?
Ah, that is a cool one. Zoom in on those. I've actually been wanting to get some pictures of these. They look like little pom-pom balls or something stacked in rows, right?
Oh, wow.
Ah, yes. Do you know what they are?
No.
Well, that's because they're marine diatoms. Those are really cool. These are Stephanopixis.
Stephanopixis.
So like Stephanodiscus, but with a pixis at the end.
Why is everything Stefano something?
Do you
Who's
want to know
Stefano?
what is who is Stefano?
Well, it sounds like someone.
That's a good guess. The prefix Stefano actually means crown in Latin.
Oh.
And so Stephanodiscus means, I think it still needs focus.
Okay.
Zoom in farther. Your scale bar is at 10 microns. We can do better than that.
Around there?
Yeah, now let's try to focus and see what happens. So the prefix Stefano means crown or king or whatever. So now we're getting closer. Keep going.
Ah, there. Wow. There. Yeah?
Yeah. Now let's see the whole thing.
Ooh.
You might even be able to get better than that.
Ah! Should I try?
Yeah. That's what we're here for. People came for the crazy holes. Well, it looks pretty good.
It did get a little
It's
better.
a little better. Yeah, now let's see this monster. Ah, yeah. Doesn't that look good? It's
Wow.
crazy looking. What a crazy looking diatom. Now there's one thing you need to do still.
Rotate it.
Yeah.
So rotation and not tilt.
Rotation and not tilt, right. And do like 30 degrees. Humor me. Let's see what it does. Ah, I was so close. Maybe
A little more?
40 or 35. 40?
38.
38. That's close enough. I think it probably could go higher, actually.
40?
40,
One?
45, maybe even. Yeah, there we go. Ah, look how good that looks. Somebody did a great job focusing.
With a little help. Okay.
All right.
They
light
do
it up.
look very nice.
Get us a picture.
What is this?
That
Parts
is-
of this one? Or?
No, that's a radiolarian. That's
Oh.
not a diatom. That's a treacherous amoeba-like thing that eats diatoms. That's an animal. Like literally, not a plant. I bet Pacific Plankton's happy with that. We should check in and see what she says.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There we go. Hexagons or bestigons? If you could build a house shaped like a particular diatom, which one would you choose?
That's hard to answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some really cool looking diatoms, and some that we haven't seen on the stream before. I would like a house that looks kind of like this, though. Just like a whole bunch of those stacked on top of each other.
Do I want it to be functional or do I want it to be pretty?
Well, I think that's what he's asking. If you say Anitzia, though, you're out.
Oh, no.
If you want your house to look like Anitzia, you're out of here. That's a good looking diatom right there.
Yeah.
In the background, this at the top, the circle is a
This-
Thalassocyra.
This one?
Yeah, and its rim of portula is that external expression of its rim of portula is that little, that little piece
Mhm.
right there. It might be easier if we weren't on this screen. So that's the rim of portula. These are the strutted processes, the external expressions of them. And then this one over here is Costinodiscus, not the one that we were looking at before. This is
Mhm.
Costinodiscus perforatus. I don't know what the species name is for that, and I also don't know what the species name is for this Stephanopixis. And then, you know what this one is?
That one's the Catotherus?
That's
I'm
a
not sure.
piece of a Catosauros, yes. And then down there's the radiolarian. We did all of them.
In one take.
Yeah. I'm super excited about this, though. That's a really pretty diatom. I think we could get like a close-up of just that.
Just the
Yeah, the middle
arms?
two. You can see the
This
girdle
one,
bands.
right?
Yeah, right in there. Maybe one picture like that, just like zoomed in on that part.
I like this one.
Crazy hexagons everywhere. What? We're not going to look at that.
They look interesting.
Well, they are interesting. They're like little snowmen. Silica
So
snowmen.
this one's Stefano something.
Pixis.
Stefano. With an X?
Yeah. Pyxis, I think.
This. See? IS?
Yeah. Something like that. I think it's PYX, but that's okay.
P Y X.
IS.
This?
I think so.
Okay.
Close enough.
Okay, let's do this one.
Stephanie's Pixies, yeah. Exactly.
So we got it right? Or not really?
Oh,
More?
I know I got the genus right.
I know the spelling.
No, I don't know.
More?
I think that's the focus height we want, but we want to probably focus it again. Zoom in. I think moving onto you're on a different one than the one that you started with. Oh, you had it. There. It
There.
is. Yeah. Now you can zoom back out. This is how we roll. Zoom in, then focus, then
Then zoom out.
Then compose, yeah. It's like they're giving each other high fives all over. A round of high fives for everyone.
Around there?
I
Or
think
you
that's good.
want?
All good. Round of high fives for everyone.
You can also see a little bit inside the pores. Are they pores?
Yeah, those are the areolae. Stephanophysis has 2 layers of silica, so there's like an internal layer and then this external layer that's like a hexagon stacked on top of the outer edge. And then somebody in chat wants to know what are the middle parts that look like candy wrappers. And those are actually the spines that they use to connect the colonies together. So their spines are very weird looking. But the candy wrapper parts are, oh, or maybe they mean the
other side.
the other parts. I think that's the girdle bands.
Mm-hmm.
They're wrapped around. Someone on my Twitter said that they're like bacon wrapped. Diatoms are like bacon wrapped. They have like a girdle bands are like the bacon that you wrap around the outside of it. Holds it all together. Holds the hors d'oeuvre together. What a cool diatom. You didn't realize you're going to be learning marine diatoms as well, did you?
Mm-mm.
Not really.
This is
But
what
it's
happens.
nice.
I'm just here to teach. It doesn't matter what it is. I actually took a class on marine diatoms when I was doing my PhD, marine plankton. But I don't like to reveal that to people. So. And don't
It's
tell,
out there.
Don't tell Pacific. From David Harwood. So that's why I know some of these genera without having to look them up. It's, 20 years ago, I had a class with one picture, and I somehow remember the name. Everybody does that, right?
No.
I thought they were cool, so if it was cool, I remember it. That's just how my brain works. Perfect. All right. Explore. Let's find something new. I know that there's some really cool skeletonema laying around on the slide as well. So you might want to
Maybe
get a
we
picture of
can
those, or
find
the
them.
Bacteriastrum, or whatever. You decide what we're looking at next.
These are Catosaurus as well, right?
That's a Catosaurus, yes. Oh, can you zoom in on that thing that looks like a light bulb?
The thing that looks like a light bulb.
What is
This
that up
one?
there?
Oh, this one?
No, yeah, the one you had is the one I wanted.
Okay,
I just
so.
also don't know what that is, so let's keep that in mind.
Okay.
Yeah,
I lost it.
it's to the right.
It's this one?
Yeah, click on that. Yeah, zoom in. Very good.
What is it?
It's a tintinid, which is
So it's an
the
animal?
skeleton of a tintinid. Yeah, they're an animal, and they eat diatoms and other things. And when they're alive, they have little tentacle-like cilia that stick out of.
So that's the whole body.
That's
The shell.
The shell, yeah. But they make their shells by an agglutination process, which is basically gluing it together.
So
with-
they take things from the.
Yes. So if you look at the actual pieces that are there, some of those are diatoms.
Like this one,
Yep,
maybe.
that's a piece of a diatom. So they take little broken pieces of diatoms and then they just glue it to the outside of their house. And you can see that now, right? You can see that it's definitely pieces of diatoms all over in that. Cool, right?
Wow.
We had some that we found before where there was a whole diatom just stuck on the outside of it, like it had just
Wow.
attached a whole diatom. And they're all over on the outside of that thing. It's all made out of little pieces of diatoms and other things. But, and then yeah, when it lives, it has little cilia. So Pacific Plankton had one on the other night, and it was spinning its little cilia and it trying to get stuff to go in its mouth. And there was a diatom that was just bigger than the actual cilia, so it kept like pulling it towards it with the wave. It makes like sort of water motions the water towards itself by moving the cilia, and it would just bounce off of it, and they would just keep coming back in and bounce off of it. It was really funny
Wow.
looking. It made me
How
laugh.
did they break the diatom to eat it, or
I think
do
they
they
just
just
swallow
like
them.
suck
Yeah,
the
there's-
insides?
You
or
have to get ones
something
that
like
are smaller, that fit inside their bodies, and then they pull them in
Okay.
and digest them. So you don't necessarily have to take a picture if you don't want to.
Well,
Um,
it's nice, no? Maybe I can try.
But I think if you're going to take a picture, you need to zoom in a little bit. That way we can see the whole thing.
Oh. There.
Looks good. Also, one thing that happens, you can go ahead and hit that.
Should I do this one?
Probably, it's a little bright, so probably. One thing that happens when you're using the SEM, and I guess maybe even when you're just watching somebody use the SEM, is just time evaporates.
Yes.
And we've been almost 2 hours streaming. So we're going to look around a little bit more, but then maybe 3:15 or 3:30 we'll probably end the stream, so we got like a half hour.
I have to go at 3.
Yeah. Well, I'll let Addie take over once you leave, so she can run it for the last half hour. How do you feel about that, Addie?
That's all right.
She's like, finally, I came to
That's
use
your
the
dog?
SEM.
Yeah, that's my dog.
Oh. I miss my dog.
What kind of dog do you have?
She's a miniature pinscher.
Aw.
She's the smallest dog
Yeah.
in the world.
And her name?
Nina.
Nina.
Yeah.
Aw.
I'll show you a picture. I have a lot of pictures. Oh, baby.
Aw.
Yeah.
How sweet.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah. I don't know if they want to say it, but I don't know how
You could
to.
point it towards the screen. I don't know if they will be able to see with
I
you.
don't think so. Yeah? I don't know.
We gave it a shot.
Yeah. She's just really small.
Pacific Plankton says there are 2 types of Stephanopixis that they get. And then she didn't tell me what they were. Maybe she doesn't know. And then Caleb says it glues bodies together. That's serial killer material right there. I mean, they're animals and they eat diatoms, so they're already serial killers.
What happens here?
It's just a slight defect from
The shape or
It's
something?
probably from something else on either side of it.
Okay.
Sometimes the SEM gets distorted as the beam moves across if there's
Mhm.
something at a higher elevation that's just on one side of it or the other. So You can usually fix that in Photoshop.
Okay.
I think these look like Christmas bulbs.
A little, yeah.
Outdoor Christmas lights. They've even got like little
It's nice how
threading at the
you
bottom.
can see the little pieces of of other things.
It's nice how you can see the dead bodies it's stuck to its outside of its house.
Yeah.
Just, you know, for decoration.
It reminds me of like the crab from Moana, the movie Moana.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
I do too.
I can't make Sylvia watch the whole thing.
No?
What?
I don't know what the problem was. Maybe she'll watch it now.
I have rewatched it, I don't know how many times. So this is what?
Tintinid.
Tintin.
Yeah, that's close enough. I think that's actually right.
I just, yeah, I don't know.
Just like it
Okay.
sounds, Tintinid. So I am curious what that big thing was that
The
was up there. That was
one-
very bright, yeah, in that direction. I think
It's
you have
not
to zoom
there
out a little
anymore.
farther. Well, it has nowhere to go, so it's there.
Where?
I
Maybe
think you just have to get closer to it. Yeah, it's up there.
this one.
Yeah. What the heck is that? Oh, oh. Are we looking on the inside of an isthmia or something? Oh, that's cool. We always see the outsides. It's an inside of an isthmia. With it's both valves are still together
Mhm.
with the girdle band wrapped around it, and it landed on one, and now we're looking into
Inside?
the inside of the other valve. That's super funny. It's like a crazy perspective. You gotta just decide what you want in focus at this point. It's either one thing or the other. There's too much of it.
Let's see.
So I think the species for this one is nervosa. I think it's Isthmia nervosa is the name of this diatom. But we're looking like into the inside of its body, right? Like if we were the nucleus of the cell, this is what the outside of the world would look like to us. It's pretty neat.
Right there?
Sure. Gauntz wants to know, how do they make sure the bits stick to themselves? What kind of natural glue do they produce that's water resistant? I think it's actually some sort of precipitate that's gluing them together. So it's a little bit of
Like a
organic matter,
shell
and then
or
they use some
something?
sort of like secretion from their actual body that glues it together.
Nice.
Yeah. So like not just dead bodies, but they spit on it to hold it together. I think they could see your doggy pic because there's a lot of awes in the channel.
Oh.
Oh, they want to know if they can see Addie's dog too.
Let me get a picture.
She's got a picture stuck on the back of her phone case, but I think she
Yeah.
wants to get a better one for you. We should just have a whole stream where we show each other pictures of our pets.
Oh, that could go on for hours.
Yeah. Let me find a good one here.
She said she thinks it was Stephanopixis turris.
This one.
No, this
Oh.
is Isthmia nervosa.
It's hard to choose one.
You could maybe show them more than one. Sweat glue. Yeah, you could make your own house out of your clothes if you just sweat into them enough, probably, and then they would
That's
start
not a
to
nice
start
picture.
to stick together. Well, I mean, it's better than dead bodies.
Oh, yeah.
Here, everybody. I don't know if you can see her or not.
If
go.
they can't, that's their problem, I guess. Well, there's a bunch of awes going
Okay.
on, so.
They saw it.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Okay, good.
Doggy.
And what's your dog's name?
Dolly.
Dolly.
Mhm.
Now we'll be able to figure out both of your passwords.
Damn it.
That's such an interesting view. Of
It
that
is.
diatom. It just looks so weird. Oh, you've got to teach a class. That's what you have to do, right?
Yes.
You don't have to go to class.
No.
You have to
I have
teach
to
a class.
teach a class.
What are you teaching them today?
It's like wrap up from last week, so it's topographic maps.
Topo maps?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Excellent.
So this one is, it's near.
Yes,
Do I have it? No.
you do. It's the textured one. right there.
This one.
Yeah.
It's me.
Now the one comes into play. You can just
Number
put 2 in
2.
there. Perfect.
Okay. Now I'll leave Ari in charge.
Excellent. We could just have streams where I don't have to do anything, and you guys just rotate through as your classes end. We could have Eleanor, and then when she leaves, you could come in.
Have all day of streaming.
Why not?
Good question.
All right. Thanks for
Okay.
hanging out with us, Laura.
Bye.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
you could
yeah, I'll
probably
just scoot over. That's good.
keep our chairs.
Bye, Dr. Stone. Bye, Ari.
Bye.
We'll see you.
Okay.
Can I leave my things here?
Yeah.
While
We're gonna have.
to be here anyway.
You're coming back for class. I mean, it's an hour and a half from now, but you find us something good.
Gonna try to. It's crazy.
So, watching other people use the. Oh, can you go back to this thing? Right here?
Right here?
Yeah, what is that? Is it a giant. Oh, it's a giant piece of like a barnacle.
Ah.
Yeah, it's like a living organisms. It's the things that they have that flutter around.
Yeah.
Appendage.
Wow.
So I get confused sometimes when it's like not diatoms.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that is. I thought it was some sort of diatom colony at first, and then I was
Yeah.
like, that's a weird colony. Oh, what's that? Right there.
Right
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, under your mouse. Oh, it's just on its side. Okay.
What is it?
The Lesocera, I think.
Okay.
That's my guess. I see a big long tube sticking off of it, so I think it's the Lesocera.
So right here.
These things that look like bugs are
Mhm.
Chaetoceros.
Mm-hmm. Are these
There's
just
another
marine?
tintinid up there. No.
Okay, that's what I was thinking because I feel like I've seen
They
it.
are on like Diatoms of North America webpage for organisms, but when they're found in freshwater or terrestrial settings, I should say, they're usually in brackish conditions.
Okay.
They do have a preference for higher salinity.
Mhm.
So they're usually, at a minimum, they have sort of like which species you get is very salinity controlled.
Yeah. Oh, there was one of those triangular ones.
Yeah. Valve face pointed right at us.
Those
Also,
are
I think
pretty.
it's got skeletonema on it or something.
Right here?
Yeah.
Or
I'm not sure what that is actually. It's not a diatom. Oh, or maybe it is a diatom, but it's not one I can tell. I think it's a piece of a sponge that you want.
okay.
Yeah, so you see the tubes sort of coming right out at
Uh-huh.
us. That was, and the
Yes.
triangular shape's a lot more obvious when you can see it from the.
Yeah. This is just completely different than what I'm used to looking at. Because when I'm looking at it from this height, I mean, my samples, it just looks like No, I mean, nothing.
Can we get a picture of that one?
This one?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a nice, pretty Chaetoceros, and I think it's one that Pacific plankton likes.
Okay.
So
See if I can get
zoom
it.
in really
Oh,
close, and
yeah.
we'll just look at its, see if we can get the pores resolved on the valve, or the valve face.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's probably as close as we can get.
Okay. Let's see.
They look like little spaceships
Yeah.
with spines sticking out. Yes, it's Chaetoceros didymus.
Is this good, or
Yeah,
should I?
it's fine.
Okay.
And we can see what people are saying. An antenna, yeah. And so people were saying bye. I thought maybe they were saying bye to me, but they're saying bye to Laura from before. So I was like, where's everybody going? Oh, I see. Now I get it. How's your semester going?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Pretty good. Yeah. I am enjoying it so much more than last semester.
Why's
So-
that?
Well, last semester was just a lot of work because I had,
Oh, grad and undergrad classes
Yes.
combined.
yes.
So you actually graduated in December?
Mm-hmm.
They sent you a degree already?
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was a lot. Last semester was just a lot, which
Yeah.
I enjoyed all my classes. It wasn't that, but
Yeah.
it was just a lot of work. Whereas this semester, it's still a lot of work, but it's like fun work.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm glad you feel it that way.
yeah.
I think the 4+1 program that you're in, which is like the accelerated master's program, is it has a lot of advantages, but I think it's really stressful for people. I don't think they realize like
Yeah.
the level of like intensity.
For sure.
Both trying to combine graduate and undergraduate classes towards the end of your degree, but also you're jumping straight from classes into research, right? And
Mhm.
you're kind of starting to juggle both at the point where you were.
Yeah.
And I mean, you still are, but fewer classes. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think should be more normal now, at least.
Yeah.
A little less chaos. We have a lot of people coming online into the 4+1 program, so maybe it would be good for you to chat with them.
Yeah.
You know, like just to have
Mhm.
like let's talk with people who are actually going through it, so they sort of know.
Yeah.
When you're maybe in the fall, we should set up something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Would be kind of cool. So you could kind of help them.
Yep. I wouldn't. That'd be fun.
And you'll have a little bit more insight after the summer probably as well.
Is that how you spell that?
Yeah, close.
Something like that.
That's how you spell it.
You know what it is.
I do know what it is. You don't need to focus too much on what I call it.
Yeah.
Or what you're going to spell it. I'll know what it is. It's Chaetoceros didymus. I even know what it is to species
Yeah.
because Pacific Plankton told me. So I was considering having Pacific Plankton actually like on Discord chatting
Uh-huh.
while we're doing it, but I realized I'm not super well set up for her talking out loud for
Uh-huh.
us. So I have to come up with like a strategy, and then the problem with it is that like every week when we get ready to do the Wednesday stream, it's chaos.
Yeah.
Trying to get samples together, and I had faculty meetings every time now. So maybe if I stream Saturday, which I think I will, and it's usually a little bit more like me time, quiet time, I'll be able to have Pacific Plankton on, and we can chat. Some more of this giant Stephanopixis.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and there's a Skeletonema.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Maybe zoom in on one of those. We can take a look at the really ornate linkages between the valves. Very cool.
Okay. Do you want a picture of this?
If we can find one that doesn't have like a junk right in where
Okay.
the spines are, I think it would be pretty.
Okay.
There's a whole big colony there, so maybe up at the top.
Okay. Let's see here.
Yeah, anything in there is probably fine.
Okay. Is this a good height there? Or
I mean, you're in charge of making
Okay.
executive decisions about
Okay.
your photos. I recently was nominated for Supervisor of the Year, so I'm working on my
Mhm.
supervising skills right now. I'm just gonna supervise.
Okay. I like that. Go with that.
I figure it must have been Mallory that did it, but maybe that's not the case. Because I think she's the only person I supervise technically.
Mhm.
I think as much as I torment her, she wouldn't have put me up for an award. OpenSet says, maybe we just need to make some time for Wednesday chaos theory. If I had more time to give, I would. But it's like, you start working on stuff in the SEM, and then I was trying to show Laura how to sort of tool around on these, and I was looking for chrysophytes, and then it's like, oh, time for faculty meeting. Oh, time to stream. This is how I also don't end up eating. That's a nice picture you took. You did a great job. You see those supervisor skills?
Yeah.
I know, meetings are the worst. Plus, how would Pacific Plankton garden if she was also talking to us at the same time? We'd cut into her gardening time. Are you excited about it getting warmer?
Yes.
Are you a
Very.
winter person, a spring, summer, or a fall person? Where would you put yourself?
Okay, so I'm a summer person, but I've definitely learned to enjoy winter in recent years. I used to
You're
hate
like a
it.
summer, winter person.
Yeah, but always once it starts getting warm outside, I get really excited. So I'm excited to garden this year and I just love being outside.
You've
So
been working at the community garden, right?
yes.
So what do you do there?
Well, it's sort of evolved. So I started out just, sort of helping, spreading mulch, doing just hands-on stuff. But recently, so we've got a guy that is running, and we've expanded to the third block of the community garden.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so that's called the food forest. And someone,
Forest?
food forest.
What does that mean?
Well, eventually it's going to be like, you sort of don't even know it, but it's like this forest, but it's all food.
Oh.
So it's like you have a tree, like a fruit tree, and stuff growing up the fruit tree, and sort of like nature, how nature would do it. Well, that's being run by this guy from biology. His name's Kale. Kale Moreno, do you know him?
I've never met him, but I somehow interact with him through other people all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so he's trying to sort of get that running, and
That sounds really neat.
Yeah. So I'm creating a student group who will sort of run that out there, because they're hoping that it will be all donation eventually. So, because Terre Haute's like a food desert,
Right.
we have people that come to the garden and just steal food.
Oh, this diatom that's got the little straight bars coming out.
Right here?
Yeah, that's a colony of Elasionema, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily need to get a picture or anything. I just
Okay.
thought things that were right here.
Yeah.
But one of the things that as I mentioned earlier in the stream, where we didn't process these samples at all, so the colonies are still in their original positions, and I think that actually is, sort of spectacular component of these. And then probably for Saturday's stream, provided I manage to get through to Saturday after this week, then we'll have the nitric acid version of these where we've cleaned all of the organic junk off of them, at least in theory. So it would be super interesting to see some of these same diatoms without either not in their colony structures, but also without a lot of the organic junk on them. So you can go look around. I just was kibitzing. So we're looking for just anything. I mean, you don't need to have any particular mission, but also we've been stuck on just one sample.
Oh yeah, that's
There's
true.
so much to see. So if you wanted to go to
Okay.
2, you can.
Okay.
We haven't looked at 2 yet. It's all the same
Yeah.
sample. It's just a different subsample of it. I think that diatom that's under your mouse to the right is Actinopithecus. Not that one. That's a Rhizocylinia, but that one. I think
Okay.
if you zoom in on it, I think it's
Okay.
a little radiation symbol diatom. Now you can see it. I think if it's in focus, you'll be able to see it even
Yeah.
better. But you can sort of see it's making like the ups and downs like a radiation symbol. Very good.
Wow,
So
that's cool.
this is another the whole genus has that same characteristic. They
Mhm.
don't always only have like 3 up and 3 down. Sometimes it's like 5 up, 5 down, or 7 up,
Mhm.
7 down.
Wow, that's cool.
And if you look up at the top, the very top, like at 12 o'clock, right there, there's a little hole.
Uh-huh.
And there's one at the corner on the other elevation in the same spot.
Okay.
And also in the bottom corner.
Right here?
Right there.
Mhm.
And right on the other one in the middle. So they're
Wow.
always in the middle of the elevations on the upsides.
Uh-huh.
That's the Rhizoportula.
That's cool.
So, the external version of the Rhizoportula.
See if I can zoom into it. No.
Neato.
Okay.
There's another big Skeletonema
Mhm.
colony. You can start to see those like without any. They're so long.
Yeah.
Without even zooming in, it's like, oh, there's one. Oh, this
What's-
is Asterianelopsis. It's a colony of Asterianelopsis. They're all in their
Wow.
original life position. So, like Asterianella, they create these star colony, but unlike Asterianella, their star colonies are spiral, so they just keep going.
Wow.
So it creates this really like huge, long, spiraling star colony. They're
Wow.
very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we wouldn't be able to see them in that position, and maybe not at all, if we were to digest the sample. So I don't think we've ever actually had these on the SEM, for my SEM. So I'm sort of curious what they would do when we digest the sample, whether there are even going to be any of those present. They're kind of neat. John says, in Belgium, we don't often get snow. Oops. Something, lost control of my chat controls. Even in the winter, so it's always nice to see the sky get very clear and sunny after it snowed. Dell says, I read about how Native Americans would cultivate permaculture, edible landscapes able to support the population like wild gardens.
Mm-hmm.
And Pacific Plankton said there's great books on food forests.
Yeah.
And in San Francisco, there's an urban farm that's always open for people who need food.
It's
And
really
she
cool.
wants to know if we can zoom. I don't know if she means zoom in on the structure of these diatoms, or whether she means she wants me to join a meeting and zoom with her. Could be either one. Probably the first. She said the first. Yeah, so this is what's called a stellate colony, just because everything's radiating out from a center. And just like Asterianella, the Asterianellopsis have their head pole and foot pole reversed. In other words, usually when we see diatoms that are living in colonies together, the skinny side of the diatom is the part that connects to all the other diatoms. But Asterianellopsis and also Asterianella, their head poles and foot poles are actually the opposite. So the big part of the diatom is the foot pole, but we still would refer to it as the head pole.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because everything else is the other way around. So, at least that's how it was explained to me. Its foot pole is its head pole, and its head pole is its foot pole. So, we made a term, we applied it, and then we found it didn't work, and we still applied it. Also, it's not my fault. Pacific Plankton wants to know if we can see how they connect. So I think when this picture's done, she wants you to try to zoom in on, like, this area in here and try to see if we can see how they're connecting. My guess is it's entirely organic, but you can see that they're sitting in their actual position. So they landed on the slide in their shape, whatever it was that was holding them together, and then the organic parts contracted, I'm guessing, and stuck back onto the individual diatoms. So my guess is there's almost nothing connecting them. They're very confusing looking in the SEM. If I didn't know what I was looking at, I probably wouldn't know it was a diatom.
Stereonopsis.
It's Asterianellopsis, but you're so close.
No.
Just needed an L in there. Yeah, got
Okay.
it.
Okay, let's.
So I was also mentioning this to Laura, but it's really interesting to, yeah, they have really weird shapes to them. You can see the pores on some of them, on the surface of that little indentation up there at the top, like this right in here, and also up in there you can kind of see pores. And that actually looks like how they maybe are connected. You see the round depression right there, and there's one over here on this valve, and I think maybe those touch each other.
Okay. I wonder if you would be able to put that in focus, if you could see those
Yeah.
better.
think it's about as good as it's
Yeah.
gonna get. But you could try to zoom in on the actual like circular components.
Okay.
So if you look right behind in the background, there's another one, and it looks like those two components are facing each other. And I think
Mhm.
it's like this part
Okay.
is normally attached with that
Yeah.
part. Yep.
Okay.
So I think they have little, this would probably be called an ocellus. It's
Yeah.
probably some sort of little ocellus that's actually squeezing out some goo between them and then allows them to connect with those little pieces. It's neat.
Very cool.
If you can take a picture zoomed in like that, she'd
Okay.
probably be happy about it.
Okay.
Could you tell us more about the etymology of diatom names? It seems useful for future reference. Well, so I think probably the name Asterianella comes from the root word aster, which means star. And they're named after the fact that they're in a star shape. And Asterianella is like little star. That's what that means, right? And then probably we had already named Asterianella, and then we found these things in the marine realm, and they were like, yeah, like those things we found in the freshwater realm. Or maybe it's the other way around, but I'm guessing that we named Asterianella first, and then Asterianellopsis second, because opsis is what usually people stick in when they mean it's like that other thing. So there's Ensynema, Ensynopsis. Like those two species are kind of close. They share a lot of characteristics, but Ensynopsis used to be lumped together with Cymbella, and they realized that it didn't belong there and pulled it out, and they stuck an op in the middle. Sometimes people will also put an oid. So in the names of things, there'll be like an oid in there, usually in the species names. So you have like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Two diatoms where there's like an oid stuck in there. But it's like in the middle of the name so that you realize that it's really kind of similar to this other thing, but it's not that, right? Nitsioides, yeah. So they have like a species named Nitsioides, which is like, it's like Nitsia, but it's not, or something, you know. Yep, I think that's how they connect. That's pretty neat. You can also see that there's not a lot to these things. They don't have a lot of sort of structural integrity. All it did was land on the stub and then immediately started to fall apart. So there's probably just a lot of organic, like most of the organisms supported by the organic structure. And once that starts to disappear, the whole diatom probably just evaporates, right? It turns into pieces of silica. So. Yeah, the book says that they have an apical slit field, and I would actually argue that's what these things are right here. There's like a whole little series of little slits that you can see, and also up here you can see them as well. Little slits that are, you know, like a field component, a whole bunch of them all together, and they use those to basically connect. Grabioids. Some scientific names are very well built, logical, and others are very silly. Yeah. I can't beat the Thagomizer. Let's see. Maybe if I have to name a diatom, I could name it like Thracazogia or something. It would be a really cool name. And then when somebody asks me what it's named after, I'll be like, oh, it's the alien creature from the Tick comics. Thrakazog, whatever his name was. That's actually a dinoflagellate, maybe? I'm not positive. It looks like it's contracted, but there's like a long little tail-like thing sticking out of it. And that is an evil little Nitsia stuck on top of that. Yeah, I think it's Nitsia sigmoidea. Dell gets these sometimes in his freshwater stuff, and Pacific Plankton gets it sometimes in her marine stuff, probably carried out to sea. Although maybe they can handle elevated salinities. Well, we have time for like one more photo.
Okay.
Unless you want to run this for a while before class while I go get food, because I will have to reach a point where I need to.
Yeah.
And
I better get off so I can look over my chrysophyte notes.
Oh, you got a quiz.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a radiolarian.
Right here?
It's this one. But that
Oh,
one's kind of
yeah.
interesting too. I think maybe that's maybe skeletonina.
Hmm. Those are really interesting.
Yeah. That's another Stephanopixis, but they're all bundled up in that one up there. They all have the candy wrappers on. Right here.
Oh.
We finally found that is a dinoflagellate. We finally found one. All of my searching. Okay, you need to get real close so
Okay.
we can see the plates. They're made up of a bunch of little plates. Yeah, and you should be able to get those in pretty good focus. Yeah, that's good. I can't believe we
Wow.
found them. I'm super excited about this. This is a good way to end.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, center it, and then let's actually take a nice high-res photo.
Okay.
Can you take the beam intensity to 6? It's got, you got to click on it.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
good. We can set our speed to 7. See how that looks.
Oh, yeah.
It's looking sharp,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Okay.
And then, yeah, hit it.
Okay.
And you can center that, and then we'll just say our goodbyes. Let's see if we can find somebody to raid. And I want to say thanks to everybody for hanging out with us today, especially Addie and Laura and earlier Eleanor. And also we had subscriptions by Pacific Plankton.
Out this early on? That's incredible.
I don't want that. And we had a subscription by Pacific Plankton, so thank you for that, as always. And I go to this little following thing, it will tell me who's on that I follow. It looks like Enceladasaurus is on, None the Geek is on, Dr. WD-40 is on, and Turkana is on. No, let's see. Who do you think? You can pick.
I think Enceladasaurus.
Okay, we'll pick Enceladasaurus then. She's super nice. And we will set her for the raid. That will be great. Oops, if it will type where I tell it to type. Is it going to type? Ha. Very cool. And I'm going to send that command. Did it work? Yes. Okay, good. And while it loads up the raid, I can say thanks everybody for hanging out and looking at our cool diatoms, and we finally got one of these cool dinoflagellates on the SEM, so super excited about that. And probably we will stream, or I will stream again on Saturday. My guess is I'll be by myself, but if that's the case, then I'll probably find a way to make it so that Pacific Plankton can hang out and we can chat during my stream. So that'll be nice. All right, cool. It's gonna send off a raid soon, so we'll just wait for that to happen. That'll be fine. And good. We got about 20 seconds left on our picture, right? Look at those cool plates.
It's really cool.
What a nice job you did at taking that picture, person I'm supervising. This is really cool.
Mhm.
Okay. That's it for now. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Yes, I can send that to you.